Welcome back. Big updates from Anfield. Liverpool have started contract talks with one of Arne Slot's key stars, and a second major deal is already on the table. Meanwhile, a former $76 million Reds target has spoken out about his tough Man United start, plus PSG's target could snub Liverpool for Real Madrid. And after Arsene Wenger's bold claim that Liverpool's summer transfer destroyed the midfield, Arne Slot has finally hit back. Let's break it all down. Our first news is Liverpool's Marc Guehi transfer alternative open to move ahead of January. Liverpool is expected to sign a new centre-back next year, and while Marc Guehi remains the Reds' #1 target, alternatives are being monitored in the event that he moves elsewhere. Inter Milan's Alessandro Bastoni has reportedly emerged as an alternative defensive transfer target to Marc Guehi for Liverpool. Liverpool tried to sign Guehi over the summer, getting as far as agreeing a deal with Crystal Palace for the defender, only for the London club to U-turn on the agreement at the 11th hour. Palace boss Oliver Glasner did not want to sell Guehi as he felt that the England defender's departure would have left his team short at the back. Guehi looks set to leave Palace for free when his contract expires at the end of the season, and Liverpool is expected to face stiff competition for his services. Liverpool effectively had a free run at Guehi earlier this year, but several big European clubs would no doubt view him as an appealing proposition on a free transfer in 2026. Team Talk says that Liverpool considers Bastoni as a possible alternative to Guehi, but that Guehi does indeed remain the Reds' first-choice target. Liverpool is short of options in the centre of defence at the moment, with the collapse of Guehi's move coupled with Giovanni Leone's long-term knee injury leaving the team with just 3 senior centre-backs at the moment. Those 3 players are Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Joe Gomez, and there are currently question marks over all 3 players' futures. Van Dijk turns 35 next summer, while Konate is set to become a free agent next year, and Liverpool was open to selling Gomez in each of Arne Slot's summers in charge. Guehi addressed his failed move to Liverpool last month. When it was put to him that he appeared unaffected by the saga when playing for Palace, he replied, "Because it was business as usual. The sun goes up, the sun comes down. Life goes on. That's my mindset, and if you adopt that mindset in most things, you just get on with life and move on. Fortunately for me, I'm at a football club that has helped me and given me so much. So it does make it that much easier." Asked by TNT Sports what helped him cope with the situation, Guehi added, "Having my family there the whole time, friends, people that have always been there for me, and then the football club." Subscribe now for daily Liverpool FC updates and breaking football news. Our second news is Florian Words. Liverpool star helped Luis Díaz decide on Bayern Munich transfer. Luis Díaz has hit the ground running for Bayern Munich, chipping in with a goal or assist every game on average. Despite initial skepticism at the transfer, the Colombian has turned out to be a vital player in Vincent Kompany's system. Normally, the praise would land on Max Eberl's door, but someone else did the work for the club, erstwhile transfer target Florian Words. The Bundesliga's Spanish-language account and ESPN Colombia, as captured by Semana via Sport Witness, revealed a snippet of the conversation between the two. Words told me that the league is very intense and that there are great teams, Diaz said. The stadiums are always full. He told me I was going to enjoy it a lot and that I was going to do very well, so I thanked him. That tipped the scales in favor of a Bayern move. While the 28-year-old Diaz and Bayern are flourishing, Wirtz and Liverpool are not. 6 losses in 7 matches means pressure is piling on the latter's team and coach Arne Slot, who is yet to sort out the mess. The 2016 MLS Cup playoffs concluded with 2 teams, Toronto FC and the Seattle Sounders, duking it out in frigid conditions with a title on the line. The match produced no goals and hardly any chances until late in extra time, when Toronto's Josie Altidore soared to head in a perfect cross, with only Seattle goalkeeper Stefan Free in his way. Before we watch what became of that header, we've got to look back at the history of these players and these franchises, all hunting their first MLS championship. Let's rewind. Liverpool are exploring alternatives to Marc Guehi as January approaches, with a potential new defensive target now open to a move. Meanwhile, reports claim Florian Words influenced Luis Díaz's shock Bayern Munich transfer decision. Real Madrid prepare a staggering £215 million double swoop, and Ryan Gravenberch could leave Anfield in search of game time. Plus, hear what Roy Keane said about Liverpool's Premier League chances after their defeat to Man City. Stay tuned for all the latest Liverpool transfer news, contract updates, and insider reactions from Anfield. Subscribe now for daily Liverpool FC updates and breaking football news. Our third news is transfer rumours. Real Madrid's £215 million double swoop, Gravenberch eyes Liverpool exit. Lamine Yamal, Declan Rice, Rafael Leao, Scott McTominay, Rodrigo and many more feature in the gossip. Barcelona are circling around Liverpool midfielder Ryan Gravenberch. The La Liga champions are prepared to offload several players to fund what would be an expensive move but are intent on snapping up a player equally admired by Real Madrid. Gravenberch hasn't yet closed the door to the Spanish champions. Source: Fishages. Arsenal have been quoted a price tag of between €80 to €85 million, €70.4 to €74.8 million, $92.5 to $98.3 million, for AC Milan forward Rafael Leao, which is considerably less than the €100 million Chelsea had been quoted. Source: Caught offside. Manchester United are expected to go in search of another forward-thinking player as soon as January. Source: Indicalia. That forward won't be Endrick. United have been unequivocally ruled out of the race to sign Real Madrid's Brazilian teenager. Source: Fabrizio Romano. Liverpool have been tipped to recall Harvey Elliott from his loan spell at Aston Villa in January, thereby removing the possibility of the English midfielder joining Unai Emery's side permanently. Source: Football Insider. Long-term Barcelona target Eda Ayong has staked his claim to fulfill his dream of joining Chelsea. The Levante striker has also been linked with Arsenal and Man United. Source: GiveMeSport. Napoli talisman Scott McTominay has implored the Serie A champions to go after his former Manchester United teammate Kobbie Mainoo this January. Source: The Sun. Real Madrid's interest in Mainoo has been played down, giving Napoli a clear run at the talented England international. Source: Defensa Central. Any move for Antoine Semenyo in January is deemed to be unlikely. The Bournemouth forward is a known target for Liverpool and a glut of other Premier League clubs, but the Cherries are expected to hold on to their talisman this winter. Source: GiveMeSport. Bayern Munich have twice made contact with Juventus regarding a move for Dusan Vlahovic, who has previously been on the radar of Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. Source: Fabrizio Romano. Real Madrid are prepared to splash £215 million, $282.5 million, on two players in 2026. Arsenal's Declan Rice is expected to set Madrid back £130 million while Paris Saint-Germain forward Bradley Barcola is being eyed up for £85 million. Source: EPL Index. Manchester City's attempts to close out a deal for Crystal Palace wingback Daniel Munoz have been derailed by Barcelona's rising interest. Source: Mundo Deportivo. Tottenham have tabled a bid worth €80 million, £70.4 million, $92.5 million, for Rodrigo ahead of the January window. Real Madrid have not yet decided how to react to this concrete approach for a player also admired by Arsenal and Chelsea. Source: Fishages. Subscribe now for daily Liverpool FC updates and breaking football news. Our fourth news is what Roy Keane said about Liverpool's Premier League chances immediately after Man City defeat. Roy Keane has dismissed Liverpool's Premier League title chances after a 3-0 defeat to Manchester City. The former Manchester United midfielder gave his thoughts on the Reds' title credentials during his punditry with Sky Sports. Goals from Erling Haaland, Nico Gonzalez and Jeremy Doku saw the Merseysiders consigned to a fifth league defeat in the 2025-26 season. Keane, who had earlier labelled Liverpool dreadful, was very much of the mind that the result had ended their title defence. "You can't be considering Liverpool for the title," the Irishman said on Sky Sports. That was a sore defeat. But this reminded me of City of old. They were outstanding. They are back in the mix. On paper, one can understand the ex-Premier League star's point of view, given that we now lag 8 points behind Arsenal at the top of the table. We should consider ourselves fortunate that the Gunners' 2-2 draw with Sunderland on Saturday means that we head into the international break less than 10 points behind. It's a big lead to take with 11 games played, though not a totally unassailable one in our view. That said, Liverpool need to find some consistency after the break and win their upcoming winnable run of games. Speaking after the full-time whistle, Arne Slot refused to rule Liverpool out of the title race. The Dutch head coach told reporters, via Luis Díaz on X, "The last thing I should speak about now is the title race. It's a fair response from the manager at a time when the league table simply does not present Liverpool at their best heading into the November international break. Yes, we were subject to some pretty questionable officiating and VAR calls during the defeat at the Etihad, but the Reds looked clearly subpar compared to Guardiola's men throughout the 90 minutes. Is the Premier League table misleading? It's worth pointing out that, beyond the 8-point gap from Arsenal in first and the Reds in 8th, things are looking quite tight from 2nd to 10th, 5th to 9th in the table, including Arne Slot's Liverpool, are level on 18 points. Remarkably, only 5 points separate second place in the Premier League, Man City, from Crystal Palace in 10th place. Is it still disappointing that we've fallen outside of the top 4 spots with a 3-0 defeat in Manchester? Of course. But to suggest Liverpool have a full-blown crisis on their hands would also be disingenuous. Liverpool are exploring alternatives to Marc Guehi as January approaches, with a potential new defensive target now open to a move. Meanwhile, reports claim Florian Words influenced Luis Díaz's shock Bayern Munich transfer decision. Real Madrid prepare a staggering £215 million double swoop, and Ryan Gravenberch could leave Anfield in search of game time. Subscribe now for daily Liverpool FC updates and breaking football news. Our last news is why Virgil van Dijk's goal versus Man City was unfairly chalked off by VAR. Virgil van Dijk saw his equalizing goal against Manchester City chalked off for offside. The flag was raised after the Liverpool centre-back appeared to have restored parity following Erling Haaland's first-half goal. Andy Robertson was believed to have been standing in an offside position and impeding Gianluigi Donnarumma's view. According to the Premier League Match Centre, the VAR team supporting the officiating of the Premier League encounter entirely agreed with referee Chris Kavanagh's view. Not only was the Scottish left-back in an offside position, but he was also believed to have made an obvious action in front of the opposing goalkeeper. That obvious action? Robertson had ducked to avoid Van Dijk's headed effort on goal, whilst allegedly impeding his opponent's view. According to the Premier League's own rules, a player will be penalised for preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision, or challenging an opponent for the ball, or clearly attempting to play a ball which is close when this action impacts on an opponent, or making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of the opponent to play the ball. Was this the right refereeing decision? In our view, the officiating team at the Etihad Stadium have got this badly wrong. The former Hull City fullback was standing in front of Donnarumma, but he's clearly not blocking the Italy international's line of sight. Judging by the angle of Van Dijk's initial header and the opposing goalkeeper's positioning, he has an almost unobstructed line of sight. Robertson then instinctively ducks to avoid accidental contact with the ball on its way towards goal. Looking at where the ball nestles finally in the net, we can all surely agree that there's no chance of Donnarumma reaching the effort. Micah Richards and Gary Neville surprised with VAR decision. Even ex-Man City defender Micah Richards disagreed with the decision to overturn Van Dijk's equalizer. I wouldn't agree with that Robertson made an obvious action, the 37-year-old spoke on Sky Sports. I think it's harsh. Yeah, I think the defender's trying to get up and catch him offside, but I think the goalkeeper can see it all the way. Speaking on comms, Gary Neville agreed, I think Robertson is outside the eye line of the goalkeeper. I think Slot is right to be fuming. The goalkeeper is not getting anywhere near that. He had a clear line of sight. Liverpool, of course, have been far from value for money over the course of the tie. But it's a decision that does change the nature of the game, denying the Reds an opportunity to level the score before Nico Gonzalez's speculative effort doubled the scoreline for the hosts. Thanks for watching. That's all for today's transfer update. But the transfer window never sleeps, and neither do we.